Hi everyone, welcome to Miss Adams Teaches Poetry. In this short video, we're going to be taking a look at Sophie Hannah's Postcard from a Travel Snob. This video will take you through the content, the context, and key features of form. If you'd like a little focus on analysis, do keep your eyes peeled for the next video coming your way, which will analyse 5 key quotes. Do hit that subscribe button and then you can get notifications. But for now, let's get started. So what is this poem all about? Now, the first thing that you have got to get your head around with this poem is that Sophie Hannah is the writer and she has created a narrator. They are not the same person. So the narrator of this poem is incredibly snooty and snobby, and they are basically lauding up their very kind of down-to-earth real holiday whilst being very snooty and critical and judgmental of those people that go on like budget holidays or package holidays. So the narrator is sort of comparing their experience, which is, very real, very authentic, and saying, this is not the kind of, getting drunk and singing karaoke kind of deal. The narrator is not Sophie Hannah. Sophie Hannah is making fun of people that behave that way. The narrator is probably male because there's a reference at the end about being in the sea in trunks. So we could probably assume it's a male narrator. It might even help you to remember that, because then you won't get confused and start talking about Sophie Hannah being a dreadful snob, because she is the opposite. Let's just talk really briefly about context and about who Sophie Hannah is. So she was born in 1971. She's still writing today. She's obviously a British poet, but she's also a very, very famous novelist. She's written some very successful crime novels as well. Now, and this poem is looking at the kind of shift and change in travel in the 1990s. So, obviously travel was very, very expensive. And so it meant that the people going to different places in the world probably had a little bit more money. And it was in the 90s that actually travel became a little bit easier for everyone, and these sort of budget holidays or package holidays that we still go on now, we still have today, started to become more popular, and it meant that travel was more readily available for everyone. And there was also this other emergence of a different kind of travel, which is I will sort of jokingly call the gap year travel, which is about going away to far-flung places that are sort of deserted, and having this sort of very authentic experience, and sort of going and finding yourself. And it's all a little bit, well, the way that she is depicting the person is all very, very pretentious. But actually what this really is, it's about class divide and about class difference. And you can really see that and hear it in the tone of the narrator and the way that they look down upon people that can only afford to go on a package holiday. Just a quick comment on form views, quite an easy one, because actually the fact that it is called Postcard from a Travel Snob, Sophie Hannah is playing around with the conventions and subverts the form of a postcard. So you can see that in the title and the opening line. It is written in 4 quatrains, so 4-line stanzas or verses. And we have an ABAB rhyme scheme. But what you're going to notice is that when you read it aloud, you're not going to read it in line with the rhyme scheme. And that's because of the amount of enjambment and the amount of caesura in the middle of the lines. So what we actually do is we break the conventions of that rhyme scheme. And part of that is because the person who is speaking, the narrator, is on such a kind of rant that it spills out over. And it's not even just line to line. If you just very quickly have a look at some examples, look at this line here. There's not a guest house or hotel within 100 miles. So the enjambment not only places impact and emphasis on the phrase within 100 miles, which is obviously nonsense and hyperbole, but the fact that it spills over not just 2 lines but 2 stanzas represents that amount of space. They're within 100 miles. So the enjambment in this poem is really, really key. So worth having a look at. That's it for me for this video. If you'd like a little bit more focus on analysis of language and structure, then do tune into my next video where I will go through 5 key quotes. That's it from me. Thanks so much. Happy revising.